Woo!
Podcast pioneers, unveiling the unknown with curious ears. From specters to Bigfoot, they dig deep. SasqWatchers on a quest that's unique.
SasqWatchers here on a rare live show. Coming at you live tonight. We have an awesome guest. I'm not even going to try. Her name is Ali K, and we're going to let her introduce herself a little better because she can pronounce her name.
I can. Ali K, Ali Krause, but oftentimes pronounced Ali Krause. So we just go with the Ali K. It's fine.
Ali K works for me. Yeah.
The exceptionally loud intro that I forgot about.
Yeah, it's been a while. We run a bunch of different topics now, so we don't always do paranormal stuff. So I have like 10 different intros, and it's been a while since we played that one. I typically warn guests that it's very loud, and I forgot to. So if we blew your eardrums out, I apologize.
Oh, good.
Yeah, awesome. So we reached out a while ago. You have some stuff to promote, but you kind of have a background that fits the type of stuff that we talk about. So I was wondering, like, most stories tend to start best at the beginning, right? So I'm assuming you got into the paranormal field because of the psychic abilities, or were you having other experiences prior to harnessing being a medium?
I mean, it was, I have been doing, I've booked music for over a decade on and off now. So like a music promoter. And so I, kind of learned that craft a long time ago, but in the last probably 5 to 7 years, the psychic thing has, exasperated in a lot of ways. And I started working at a place called Old Bear Buin, which is a notoriously haunted bar up in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and met a lot of people there that kind of helped me, or guided me down a path to learn more about my gifts. And at that point, that was about, I don't know, year and a half ago now, and that kind of led me to where I'm at now. So I'm promoting, but I'm doing events with the paranormal and cons, expos. I started with an expo in February that was at Crucible in Madison, and now I have it started as a little expo that turned into a great big one. So at the Annex in Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, I just decided, I had an idea. I'm like, I'm going to merge these worlds, and I think that it's going pretty well. It's, like the people I've met along the way have been like hands down incredible, between psychics and energy healers and paranormal investigators and everybody. And then between, the music community and the paranormal community, I've had a whole lot of support putting this together. So it's I'm very excited. It's a couple weeks away. I've been working relentlessly for a while now, like 6 months nonstop. Lately it's been like truly nonstop. And this little event has gotten pretty big. And I'm excited about it.
Is this your first Para-Rock event then, where you're blending those two worlds together? Yeah?
No, this is the second one. The first one was kind of like a trial and error, and it went way better than I thought. And I really liked that event a lot because it was more of it was smaller and more like intimate, I got a few bigger names, but in bands, but I just I was kind of like just seeing how it went, and it taught me a lot. And I will never do an event like this like by myself again because it's way more work than I thought. But I was like, well, I'm gonna go a little bit bigger, hopefully, every time. And Pararock was never intended to be this large. Like I mean, it's not the biggest event in the world, but it's gotten pretty big, and there's a lot of different factors that have been thrown into it that are honestly, it's really cool. This is like the the baby of my mind, basically. And then, other people have thrown stuff into it, but honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better lineup all around. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. So this one is a bit bigger. We've got 30 plus vendors. We've got psychics. We've got Diet Renee, who is a world-renowned psychic. She's been all over the place. And she's a medium, a medical medium, and she is holding a psychic gallery at the event. And then we have Dave Schrader. I'm sure that's a pretty familiar name. He's on Holzer Files. He does a Paranormal 60 podcast, but he's also been on like almost every paranormal show between, Discovery Channel, Travel Channel, like done something on them. He will be with us, which is really exciting. He's our master of ceremonies, so he will be announcing and just kind of chatting with everybody. And we have Nick and Aaron from 28 Days Haunted on Netflix. And Aaron will be holding a paranormal basics workshop. So, I've, had the honor of investigating with him, and it's been, he's really good. He knows his stuff very well. Him and Kat Grace are holding that workshop at the event. And then we have a handful of speakers we got Paranormal Evidence from Neil Gibbons. He's on the Paranormal Guys podcast. And we got Scotty Rorick, who is kind of Madison's favorite psychic. He's got a Ghostbusters mobile that's all souped up called Ecto 22. And he's a medium, so he's going to do a talk on mediumship. We have a friend of mine who was in a band called Casket Robbery. She's the lead singer. She is also a death doula. So she shepherds people, into their final moments. And she's an intuitive as well. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about that. And then we have our other speaker is Mike Huberty. And he is in a band called Sunspot, but he's also does the American Ghost Walks, the Madison chapter. So he will be talking a little bit about, what that entails. And then, excuse me, at the end of this, we have the investigation, which is at Sanatorium Hill, and that's with Nick and Aaron from 28 Days Haunted. So you get, a professional investigation. We're going to live stream that all the way. We're going to have, various people joining in on that, so we can get some reactions from them as well. And that place, I investigated myself. It is very active, and I do believe it's number one on Madison's, haunts as far as, the most haunted place in Madison. It's an old tuberculosis clinic from the 40s, 30s, and I investigated it, and it's a lot going on there. Very, very cool. But we're not going inside the place. It's more of the grounds, and then there's a graveyard and a lot of stuff going on around there. So that will happen. And then after that, we're going to shut down for a little bit, kind of switch gears, and we're having the glow in the dark after party. And I got 5 bands. I got Lockjaw, Revolution X, Gilded Cages. I got Morgan Ray, who was from the area, and Bellhead. So they're all kind of industrial rock, metal-y, very much in the vibe. In fact, Lockjaw is my headliner, and a member of the band, he in Lockjaw is a psychic as well, and has done a lot of paranormal work. So I like that I was able to integrate all this together, and really kind of bring music and the paranormal together truly in a way that, it just makes me very happy.
Yeah, no, it's super unique. I was intrigued by the idea. I've obviously seen the posts. We lost John. I've seen the posts for a while. I couldn't tell you how long that we've actually been like Facebook friends or whatever. Due to how many paranormal people that just by nature I have. But that's always caught my eye and my attention. And I was going to ask how you integrate it, and so doing like all the paranormal stuff and then having it as an after party. That sounds really cool. I don't know if it's ever been done, but maybe you could even like figure out a way on the next one to kind of blend those further and get some type of like research done with the bands, and perhaps like I don't know. In my head, I'm like, okay, if we're communicating with the ghost, right? And spirit, why don't you start strumming this bass guitar with us and like get like see if you can get like an actual like a jam, like a ghost jam session.
Well, I mean, it still could be done, but like I do have like band members being speakers, and then also band members that are playing the actual show that are psychics. I would have loved to have Sunspot play, because that would have been like the ultimate integration, but at least Mike Huey is going to be there at the event, and he just wasn't available. And as I go along, like I am still learning, and it is a lot of work. Like I said, next time I'm going to have a little bit more help in this, and I kind of I know now what I would like more help in, which is graphics. Like there's so many graphics, there's so much to do with that. But I have a few surprises in the show that I won't reveal. It'll be like one of those things that you have to be there to find out. Like our vendors alone, a lot of metaphysical podcasts, people and paranormal investigations, and people that are really in that scene. And I just I want to keep going a little bit bigger every time. This event definitely will be an annual event. We also have the #1 station, 94.1 WJJO in Madison. They do Taste of Madison, and they used to do Bandcamp and Sonic Boom and Brockfest. They still do, but they do a lot of stuff. But Randy Hawk does Hawk's Radiothon for vets, and it was kind of an honor that he's going to do that at my event. So I'm very, very excited to say that he will be there, and it's a charity event for vets, and he will be there from 10 to 2. And so I really urge everybody to come out and support that as well. But so it's got a little bit of everything that I want. Like I wanted a charity element too, and getting that support from JJO. I respect them a lot. I got a lot of friends that work with them and work for them, so it's pretty cool. Like I'm really excited for this. It's gonna be great.
We can almost go as far as saying this is like the gathering of the juggalos, but for the paranormal, right?
The juggalos of the paranormal? No. I mean, I would love to have ICP, but they weren't available that day.
That could be the next step.
I've reached out to the ICP. I've never heard back, but that doesn't stop me from reaching out. Those dudes are hilarious. Yeah. They fit a lot of what we do.
They are. I do. I get down with a few ICP songs for sure, but as weird as they are, they do a whole lot of charity stuff and help people quite a bit. So I can't say too much bad for them, even with their crazy following.
If you're ever able to book them, try to get what's the dude's name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, get Neil deGrasse too, because you can have those two duke it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might not be beef. I might be making that up, but I heard an interview where deGrasse was very short and, in my opinion, rude to Violent J. So I've kind of always...
Violent J was just at the Annex not too long ago. Yeah, which is interesting. I had to miss that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, those dudes are cool. But what are like some of the more challenging aspects of booking bands for this type of show?
I think schedules this time of year is hard for bands to be free because, especially if they're like regional or national. I originally planned to have more national acts. I'm still very happy with my lineup, but it's almost impossible. Like a lot, and even the regional ones are, there's Summerfest around here. There's a lot going on, so it's hard to, get the bands exactly that you want. In winter, it's probably a little easier, but tours get booked out relatively far in advance. So, but with that said, I am happy with who I was able to get. And I do love showcasing, bands that people haven't heard too much before. And that's kind of always been a thing that I've enjoyed doing. But in the future, I do plan on having bigger names, at least a bigger name. I won't even say who I had on my line. So, but yeah, this time of year, hard to book the bigger national acts for sure.
Oh, JC knows a little about that. You were booking shows all the way back in like high school, running house shows.
Yeah, that not even close to the same scale, but
I mean, yeah, it's a little like
there's something nice about finding those. I like the idea of I love finding new bands, like not to be hipsterish, but I like finding new bands that like people haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So it's always you got the 1-2 punch here. It's for a good cause, and there's also some bands that people have never heard before.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
No, I do. I enjoy that too, and that's why I'm like not even upset, because I get to showcase some talent, some really good bands that people haven't heard yet, and I think that they're going to be very pleased with what they hear.
This event seems like something that, as a paranormal personality, you'd think they would be knocking your door down. Was it easier to book those names?
Yes. I really never had a short of, I always had like a list of bands that were wanting to join if they could. And, sometimes I had a few instances throughout the last 6 months where somebody who was on the original lineup could not either. They just couldn't, and things happen. But so it was easy to replace. But I mean, I've been in music for a very long time now, so it wouldn't be as hard for me. But I don't know. I mean, finding that pocket of opportunity might be a little hard for some, especially like I said, this time of year, it's rough. But yeah, it wasn't too bad for me. The band part was probably the easiest part.
That surprises me a little bit because I feel like this is so unique, and you have Schrader involved too. So like, if I'm a paranormal personality, that I want to be showcased at this thing. I think what you're doing, like, it's really unique. Until I've seen you, I haven't really heard of something like this. So,
yeah. Well, thank you. That makes me happy. I was pretty surprised when I got this idea that like no one else had it ever. But I guess, like with my uniqueness in this, in the paranormal and growing in that, like I'm relatively new in that scene. Like I haven't been. I'm starting to get my face around there, but I'm the new kid on the block, as far as paranormal, not so much in music, so it makes sense that it would be different. Like, and having Dave Schrader and, 28 Days Haunted is going to help as far as getting the name out there and, that I'm booking shows. And there's definitely, friends I met along the way that have been able to, pitch my name and put it out there. So, that helps, but still, it hasn't been that long. So hopefully in the next couple years, people will know who Ali K is a little bit more.
Yeah,
that would be
for sure.
helpful. Yeah. I mean, I definitely have my wants of people that I want there, and it'll happen. But
Well,
Dave Schrader, awesome.
yeah, how did you end up booking him? I know he's like, I've talked to him. He was gonna do SasqWatchers, and I had talked to him about that like when we first started. We haven't been able to schedule anything. I don't even know if he remembers me at this point, but what I'm getting at is he's responsive, and he could have easily big leagued me and didn't even have to respond to my messages or anything. But that being said, he's a busy guy. So how did you end up landing him?
Well, I actually met him a couple times. I met him at Old Baraboo. The same time I met Nick and Aaron, actually. And I was bartending there. I wasn't even doing psychic stuff yet. And, I started doing tarot a little bit here and there, like to the public, which it took me a long time to be able to do that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But then I saw him again because I got booked to do tarot readings at the Haunted YMCA, in the Haunted Rock Island YMCA in Illinois. So, we talked a little bit more then, and then I was putting these shows on, and I put the first one on, and I think they were all kind of seeing how it went. And then when it came around to the second one, I asked him, hey, can you be available for this? And he's like, heck yeah. So that was that. And I'm very excited and honored, and I do feel like, he could have been at just about anywhere, and he's going to be at my event, and that's pretty cool. So I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably a great feeling. So obviously that event sounds really cool, but let's learn a little more about the person running it. You had just spoken right there about tarot, and so I've dabbled in tarot. I'm not by any means an expert or even a novice at it, I don't think. I had a deck that I played around with, and then it just kind of sat in the closet for years. But I have I don't know, I wouldn't, maybe a fascination with it still. And so how did you get into tarot?
Well, I've been playing with tarot probably since I was 14, 15 years old. I've always had a gift, and I've always kind of, dabbled. But the deck I'm using now actually is pretty old. I think it was around 15 years old. So it was just kind of, it's weird. Like, I don't need tarot cards to read people. I can do it without. I have a couple different types of divination that I use, and I can just straight up read people too without anything. But like everything that came along with that process, like maturing and understanding and being able to like mentally guard myself, and then there was, I'm not going to get into what, but there's trauma involved in exasperating this gift. So in the last probably 7 years, it's really started getting stronger and stronger. And now that I've been, it's like a muscle you have to exercise, like you have to keep doing it to keep it strong. And I have been doing nothing but that for the last, little while now. So it's grown into quite a thing. Not only do I do tarot, and I still am 100% accurate in it, I've gone from, working a little bit here and there to now I'm invited to festivals, multiple festivals. I'm actually doing Gettysburg. I'll be out in Gettysburg next week at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, which is a huge con, and I'm nervous and I'm excited, but and I get to investigate too. And it kind of crossed over into the paranormal, investigation realm where, I've been taken out to places I've never been to before, have no idea where I'm going, like have no information. And they're basically like, okay, sniff it out, tell us what you can pick up. And I've been accurate every time, which freaks me out. Like don't completely know how I get this information, but it's just like an injection of information I have. And a lot of times, like, I don't see things every time. Sometimes I do, or I can, like, like it's a memory of something that happened there. Sometimes if I touch, like a tree that's been there forever, I can pick up on something, and I've been able to get down to some pretty accurate details, actually. And yeah, I mean, I freak myself out still. I definitely do. But I think we live streamed most of them that I've done so far. There's been a few recently that have been a little, almost too scary. And there's a lot of knowing when to stop and knowing when to walk away from certain things that just feel, for lack of better words, icky, like just not good, or, like actually physically hurt, like my head sometimes. But yeah, I have a lot of boundaries with reading people in a tarot sense. I have a lot of boundaries in doing anything paranormal investigation type, and I'm glad, and that kind of keeps it so that I can continue to do it. Otherwise, if I didn't, and I was just like, balls to the walls on all this stuff all the time, and, going full force of what I could do, I think that I would hurt myself. Like, literally, I think that it would not be good for my mental health or physically. So, but yeah, so throughout the years, I've learned those boundaries, and that really helps me be able to continue a steady pace with it. So.
Okay. So a couple follow-ups to that. I guess the first one, I'm still gonna, just due to my own interest, kind of keep it on tarot for just a little bit, but then I'll ask about without the cards. So I've asked this on the show before, and I've gotten an answer that was almost kind of like a throwaway, like, get out of here with that nonsense. Is there a relationship between the reader and the cards, or could you at any moment just get rid of an old deck, buy a new deck? Is there, like, you don't have to keep it locked up or set it on fire to, decide that you're going to start using a different deck, or you're not going to be cursed if you sell it at a yard sale or something like that?
Well, here's the thing is, I would never sell my deck. My deck, yes, I swear they have a mind of their own. They love to talk, and they're sometimes like a pain in the butt, like, seriously. But I have bought, so the deck that I use a Thoth deck, and I've had it forever. And I found out that it's actually worth quite a bit. It's one of the originals, so it's worth a lot of money. And I'm like reading people with this, and I read a lot, so it's getting beat up. So I bought another deck that was, cheaper, same type of deck, and I literally like kept them together so that they could like hang out and kind of, bond. And I still haven't been able to move on from that deck. Like, I can read I have a crow deck, I have this cool anatomy deck, I have all kinds of decks, but I I really like my Thoth deck, but I am ready to move on to my less expensive one now, because my girl needs to retire. She's definitely gotten a little beat up throughout the last few years, but it's hard. Like, I still think that, like, I have my tarot case, and I still think I will keep her in there and put my other cards with it for forever. And no, I definitely have a relationship with this tarot deck. And it's no, I don't know a tarot reader that would sell like one of their decks at a garage sale, but
okay.
No, that's not normal.
So I wouldn't have to worry about any type of curses or car accidents now that I just sold my deck that's been sitting in the same spot for 5 years.
I mean, I don't think so. I think that there's no, because there's definitely like a bonding thing that happens, at least that I know of, with tarot readers and their decks. Like, I will never get rid of mine. Like, even I will never sell it. Like, it's like I said, it's worth money. It's worth quite a bit of money, and I would never sell it or anything.
Yeah, no, I have an addiction that I deal with on a daily basis where I buy physical media, and
Crack.
movies are my crack, and so I've been like, oh man, I need to buy some movies. So what can I make a couple bucks off of so I can go get my fix? And so I sold that and a witchcraft book, and I've just been waiting to be struck by lightning ever since. But
you have issues with or without the tarot cards, so
yeah,
it's hard to tell. Like, if you would get, I don't think so. I think if you didn't like bond with them and like, and didn't feel that, it's not a big deal. Like, there's like, I have a deck that I have never read with, never tried, that I wouldn't even care. If I had to sell it or like give it away, I would, and it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be a big deal, but. Not my thought deck.
I almost felt like I should find someone else who's going to use it, because like I said, it's just sitting there. It's in a closet. It hasn't been touched. It's collecting dust. There might be somebody out there that can actually use it and appreciate it. So I found someone, and hopefully they do. But when I was playing around with it, I had to I can't even remember which version I was doing. I think I was laying out like 7 cards, if that's a method. I can't quite remember, but I would have to read throughout the paper like the directions that came with the box. But so I never even clicked to where I could just kind of know what I was flipping and understand what I was looking at. But while I was doing that, like, it did seem to predict that I would be like divorced and homeless, which ended up happening. So the little experience that I've had doing it, even sitting there reading directions, like, it was kind of weirdly accurate. So I have a respect for it that some people might not have.
Sure. I mean, and the spread that I do is pretty unique to me. That I don't really follow the traditional spreads anymore, but I mean, I could, but I choose not to. My, the one that I do is accurate for me, and my cards like it. But I mean, there is a lot of doom and gloom in tarot, especially, and some people don't like it because of that, because it can, kind of call you out on some stuff that a lot of times is uncomfortable. But one thing that I kind of have learned to do throughout time is if I have bad news to give somebody, and it's like really coming through and it's something that needs to be known, I try to, find a path. And this is why I like tarot cards too, because I can follow a path and try to find a path, and I keep going until we can find solutions, or, like, kind of a different way. Knowledge is power. So once you can kind of change your direction. So I try to put a spin on that a little bit more, as far as not everything's set in stone. Like, if there's a warning of some sort that hasn't happened yet, then good, like, you can change that path. It is completely up to you. But, when otherwise you would not know about it, so you wouldn't be able to. But it's, I don't love the doom and gloom, thing where it's like, you're going to get divorced and be homeless and that's it. Like, there's no other solutions there. So I need to, I like to at least try to find a path. So if that comes up in like one area of the cards, like, I'll keep going on that card until we can get somewhere with it.
Okay.
That's just my thing.
We have a comment that I wanted to address. It was basically my next question. It says, it's from 87 Dark Hero. He says, do you need to clear the energies around the cards before every reading?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, that's a different person. That's a different energy. It's an exchange. When somebody sits at my table, it's kind of like an understanding. Like you're allowing me to look into your life and your past and your future. Let me look into something that's incredibly personal. So, and in doing that, it leaves an imprint behind, like it leaves energy behind. So yes, I absolutely do every single time. Yeah. And myself,
how do you go about doing that?
I mean, there's something to elements, like natural elements, whether it be like water or smoke or, I think a lot of it is intention, like our thoughts hold power, our thoughts have energy. So I have been able to do that. Just kind of like I shuffle my cards multiple times. That kind of seems to, I don't know, it does something. It kind of like shakes up the energy. I let air in the room, I put an intention into it that we're shifting gears, and either we're going to have another person come in here with us, or we're not. We're done for the day. So, I mean, there's times where I've had to use some sort of like water, element where things are really kind of stuck. Fans, there's something called binaural beats I use sometimes that are, like just different tones and frequencies. And yeah, so things that are in the atmosphere regularly, that are able to kind of just like recycle and cycle the energy effectively. It kind of, yeah, I could just feel it when it does.
Is it kind of dependent on the person too? Is this something you can like work with and adjust?
Yeah, and definitely, because it's not the same every time. It never has been. Like there's different people that require different types of cleansing afterwards. Some are very difficult to get out, and it seems like negative energy is really hard. It's harder to cleanse that than the good vibes that you wouldn't want to cleanse anyways. But regardless, I mean, there's stuff that definitely can just cling to you in a way, like cling to your psyche and cling to your area in general, that leaves some sort of imprint that if you don't cleanse it right away, it's gonna make a home there, and that's not good.
Do you adhere to like the 7 layers of chakra, I think is what it was described?
I mean, I understand them, and I get the purpose of them, and I think that there is there's truth there for sure. Like I tend to be able to pick up on people's chakras and where they're blocked throughout reading. So I do say something more often than not about like where I'm sensing a blockage. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's reassuring actually that everyone that we've spoken to kind of all agrees on most of what you're saying outside of the tarot deck thing, but I feel like she was making fun of me when she told me that. But yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like to hear those reassurances that everything kind of lines up, no matter who we're talking to, that leads credence to the truth of the matter. So it's easier to digest now that I've heard it reaffirmed from you for like the 3rd or 4th time, and you had no knowledge of that question being asked a year ago to a different person. So I appreciate that answer and the honesty. But moving on from tarot, I've seen you just kind of out and about walking, doing, I don't know if it's reading or investigations. So do you prefer to just kind of go find a hang and see if you can communicate or pick something up? Or are you the type that, I mean, there's so much drama right now with the Conjuring House and stuff, but are you the type that you want to invest that money and go investigate all of like I call them the HUD houses, like the really big, this place is haunted and this happened here. Or you seem like you could just achieve that just walking by a graveyard just as easy, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yes and no. Like, that's another thing with boundaries, like being the way that I am, like I can't, I block a lot out. So when I am walking around, I appear sometimes just completely zoned out because I'm like tunnel visioning like through a place. And especially if I feel something, and I can't really shield from that. Like, if I feel something, I feel something, but it's kind of a switch that I have to turn on and off. So it's, otherwise I'd probably go completely insane. But there's been times where even with the switch off, I can't ignore it. It's like, whoa, what is this? And it can be in the middle of Walmart sometimes. Like, it doesn't matter. And because if it's living or non-living or never has been a human ever in energy, it just kind of, it's a lot. I can feel all of them. And I've kind of grown this gift to what it is. Gift, curse, like, it depends on the day. But it's there. Like, there's something there. And it can get overwhelming. And so I try to really designate my investigation. Like, right now I'm kind of on an investigation break. The last one I went to was a little intrusive for me, and I had some issues with it, with I guess attachments and weird ones, like energy of dementia patients, which is really kind of sad, and still having a hard time talking about it. But I've been on a break and since then, and until Gettysburg, which I'm told that the minute I get into that place, I'm going to feel it, which I'm kind of excited about. But I know to be careful too, because there's going to be a lot there. But yeah, I guess I could if I wanted to, but I don't, because it's just like, it would wear me out and probably make me really sick. But when I do an investigation, it's exciting to turn that switch back on, and to go into it, it always is. And it's something that, I don't want to call it like a negative thing, like an addiction, but it's something that I need in my life. Like, I need to investigate, and I need to communicate, and I need to read people. It's a part of me, like it keeps me whole, it keeps me balanced, it keeps me happy. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's we lost Allie. Oh, she's back.
Learning runes right now, actually. I just got a really cool rune set, and I'm starting to understand. I've been just kind of like doing practice readings almost every day now. Every night I kind of play them.
I know you had said this earlier, but I don't know if Jables was with us. He's just curious what set of tarot cards you use again.
I use the Thoth deck. I think it's Aleister Crowley or something like that. Okay. But I also have the Crow deck. I have like some sort of anatomy tarot deck, but I mostly use the Thoth deck for some reason. That's the one that clung to me. Yeah. Forms.
Hey, I don't know if you're seeing that, but we dropped out. It happened just twice, really quickly. You came like immediately back, but yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it because you started answering the question about runes, and I was like, oh man, what happened? But you bounced right back, so I'm not sure if it'll happen again or anything. But
did you get the answer or no? Or were you
yeah,
yep.
Okay. Yeah, just like the briefest of things. But so, do you? Well, let's not get past Gettysburg, okay? Because Gettysburg, obviously, that's like super. That's a big event, and then also obviously it's like super haunted and has a lot of history.
Yeah.
I always, anytime it comes up, I always remember something that like blew me away as far as hauntings there go. And we watched this in like 5th grade at school. It was like the Ghosts of Gettysburg series or something like that. And there's the
I remember that.
Yeah, and there's the Blue Boy, and he haunts like this I don't know, like a sorority or something like that. And it's just like this child that people see, and he's blue. He's the color blue. And that's really all I can remember about it. But anytime Gettysburg comes up, I always bring it up because I'm fascinated with it. And like I'm just always hoping someone's like, well, let me open this book of knowledge for you and tell you about the Blue Boy. But is there anything specifically like you're looking forward to the most? Are there any hauntings that are kind of famous there that you're hoping to interact with? Or
there's not specifically. There's a few places like the guided stuff. Like I'm going to be there with people that are friends of mine and also paranormal investigators. So I think we're going to kind of go off on our own a little bit. There's a bridge that I'm wanting to investigate somewhere there that I heard there's a lot of activity on, and some of the battlefield grounds themselves. And I do believe the con is on somewhere very near the battlefield, so it's called the Battlefield Bash. So, and then there's I can't remember specifically what it is, but it's like some old street area. But I don't know if they're famous or not. I know that there is basically the whole town has stuff going on. So I plan to research a little bit further into it. But yeah, there's the battlefield grounds and there is that bridge that I'm really curious about.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of the bridge either.
It's one of those things where you almost kind of like fangirl out a little bit when it happens, but I'm so on edge right now with hoaxing and possible like I don't know, an entire town that has a tourism based on being haunted. You have to assume there's some shysters going on, right?
I don't know, but being like a paranormal equipment myself, I'm literally paranormal equipment. Right. I think that it's going to be awesome. Like, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm very excited. Every time I think about it, like I get butterflies in my stomach. A lot of I don't want to research too much either because I'm sure that some of these people are going to want to take me to places I've never been and do the psychic-y sniff out, what's going on here thing. Yeah. So I don't want to know too much, and I guess I never do. Like it's like I don't want to know. I don't want to know too much. Don't tell me. Let me see if I'm accurate. And I mean it's hard because I do know a little bit, but I'm hoping I'll be able to do a little bit of this psychic thing too.
Have you ever broken any hearts or anything as far as somebody is just completely assured that there's paranormal activity going on and that you're able to kind of distinguish that what they're experiencing wasn't?
Yes, I have. And that's a hard one. It's hard to tell somebody that, and it's yeah, I mean, it hasn't happened often because usually people don't reach out about that kind of thing unless there's something really going on. And also, a lot of almost everything is a graveyard at this point. So it's there's some sort of hauntings happen, whether it be like residual memories or otherwise. But there's been a few times I can think of that it wasn't haunted. It wasn't like an entity causing the. Yeah, not often though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like with hauntings and maybe residential stuff, sometimes people they become attached to the idea that there's a haunting going on. That's something we talk to with investigators pretty often when they're on. I just find it interesting that we gravitate towards that as a logical, like the first logical thing, instead of, well, there might be some higher EMFs here for this reason, or, this could be a pipe issue. It's like we kind of, we rationalize, and it just makes complete logistical sense that, that I do it every time. I was a kid, and I was watching my brothers at my mom's house one day, and something fell in the kitchen, and I picked my brothers up, and I was out of the house. I was maybe 10 or something. I was not old enough to be watching these young children. And I heard a noise, and I'm like, well, yep, they're coming for me. Those are demons. And I took them out of the house, and I waited until my freaking mom got done on whatever bender she was on, came home before I even went back in the house. But yeah, it's funny that it just makes sense. I don't know what it is about us as humans. Like what
I think as we learned certain things mean certain, like this is a ghost because this is what I've heard of before. Like this is the symptoms of that. And it's hard to tell, like, what if, entities can just pass by, and you never see them again, and they've never been there before. It's hard to tell. But if it's a repetitive thing that keeps happening, and somebody's convinced it's, an entity, and it turns out not to be, people can get pretty upset about that. Oh, Bordello of Horror. Yes. I'm a comedy horror host. That's another thing I've been doing for a decade. Alley Cat on a show that's been on multiple channels throughout the years. I think it's still on YouTube and a couple other places. We haven't filmed in a while now, but yeah, I'm a comedy horror host. So,
no, that's
that forever.
It's actually funny because when you were talking about the Pararock thing, one of the first things that kind of popped in my mind was, well, how would this work with comedy as well, if that was possible? So I was unaware that was even a thing.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we've been doing that for, like I said, over a decade now, but we've been it's been me, Rich Peterson, my character is Alley Cat, and Rich is Freak Show, he's a green guy, and then we got Mistress Malicious, who is a spin-off show now, Mistress Peace Theater, and she is all over the place. She's on Roku, Tubi. I don't even know where Bordello is. It's a lot of places. If you look it up, you can find it. But I know that we have some stuff on, like YouTube and stuff. We've interviewed stars. We've interviewed musicians. We just kind of do skits, and then we play vintage Svengoolie-ish. It's like vintage horror movies, and then we do comedy skits in between.
That's my jam, dude. Svengoolie, I tried to get him on our show. I'm working on a horror host thing myself right now.
Cool.
The other shows that we do are all like horror themed, and we haven't uploaded it yet, but we just had Bill Van Ryn from Groovy Doom and Drive-In Asylum. That it has yet to actually go up on our feeds yet, but that's when we're not talking ghosts. That's what I do. That's my that's my jam. I love it.
Well, responding to the
how
chat,
this all comes together, right?
I do believe we have a DVD out there. I am not sure where at this point. I would have to ask. I feel like it's still out there online somewhere. So I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's still on our website but we had like a Christmas special or something out there at one point. It was more was it influenced by Tales from the Crypt? Is that something that interests you? I love Tales from the Crypt. I grew up on that. But no, I think it's definitely more like in the Svengoolie area of stuff, for sure. Vintage horror movies, classics, and then, like taking a break from that and then having like a skit going on throughout the whole thing, that, one of us wrote. A lot of times I would write them. Like, we've all done our fair share of writing.
Yeah, that's super cool. I didn't know that. I could have literally invited you to the show just on that alone.
Yeah.
I figured I had enough going on today. Like, I'm an author too. I got 5 books on Amazon. So
let's talk about that real quick. We usually go about an hour, and we're kind of reaching that point now. So let's plug your books. Let's talk about them real quick.
All right. Well, I'll quickly plug Pararock one more time too, and then the books too. So my books, I got 5 books are on Amazon. The first series, it's a 3-book series. It's poetry. It's the Romanticized Musings of Madness. Book 1 is poetry about ghosts. Book 2 is poetry about serial killers. And part 3 is poetry on like psychological terrors. Then I have Beneath the Floorboards, which is not poetry. It's my only non-poetry book. It's more of like scary stories in the darkish, based around a haunted house. Just an idea I had with a bunch of side stories that somebody finds in a book underneath the floorboards. But and then my last one's more personal. That's Against the Odds of Oblivion, and it's kind of it's poetry, and it's more about me in my life and some of the traumas I had experienced at one point or another. So those are on Amazon under Ali Krause. Again, plug in Ali K, they'll probably pop up. And then, so just wanted to give one more shout out to Pararock the Annex. You can find all that information. Ali Krause on Facebook, Ali K Promotions Official on Facebook, Ali K Music on Instagram, and then Ali K Music on Threads. I don't mess with the Twitter much, and also, if you just look up Pararock the Annex or Pararock, it should pop up with a bunch of information. There are ticket links, pre-sale tickets on Eventbrite, and they will, if you click on that, and there should be, you just click on the ticket link thing, it'll drop down to all the price points of everything, the workshops and investigation and psychic gallery and all that. And yeah, it's going to be a friggin' blast. So definitely come out and support. And we got Hawks Radio with them for vets, so got some good causes going on too, and we would love to have you. August 3rd starts at 10 a.m.
Links, by the way, are in the chats, so everybody can go check those links out right now.
Absolutely. We had another question from Jabbles. What was your favorite 80s/90s horror movie?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Street Trash.
God, there's so many that come to mind. Horror movie.
It's okay if it's Casper.
No. I really like Chucky. Okay, there was something about Chucky I liked quite a bit. And 80s. Come on, Freddy Krueger. Come on, Freddy Krueger. That's got to be my favorite of all time.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is my absolute favorite Elm Street film. Dream Master.
Yeah.
I had that VHS as a kid. I watched it so many times that the tape broke.
Dream Master, or there was Dream Theater too, right? No, that's a band.
Yeah, no, it's Dream Master.
It's a band. There's a band.
I have the autograph of the lady that's in there. I met her out in New Jersey. And I got to meet her, and I was like, ooh. Yeah, that was a long time ago, though. I still have it somewhere. That's awesome, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on and talking about all your stuff. I think your event sounds really cool. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, and I'll always come back, and I'm sure we could fill a whole nother episode.
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely do that.
It was nice being you guys.
Yeah, same. Everybody check out the links, support in any way that you can. We'll go ahead and we'll hit our outro. It's not as loud, so anybody here
it's
listening,
pretty loud.
It's not as loud. And from there, we'll catch you next time. All right. Thanks for squatching, everybody.
Watch you later.
Have a good one.
The preceding program has been brought to you by the Watchers Podcast Network. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends to help grow our network. Check us out on all social media platforms, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, thanks for your support.